Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ClickFunnels Brick and Mortar Summit. My name is Bailey Richert, and right now I'm delighted to bring to you a presentation by Emily Gang. Emily is revolutionizing the way Americans make their Medicare decision to protect their healthcare rights and financial savings. What started as a desire to help her dad make his Medicare decision soon transformed into her passion to change the way people navigate Medicare rules and insurance company sales tactics to easily make the right decision for their unique situation. The Medicare Coach was created in 2010, and since Emily joined 2 years ago, she's more than 10x'd revenues and increased clients from 3 states to 49 states and 4 countries throughout sales, marketing, and funnel strategies. So let's go see what Emily has to share with us today.
Thanks, Bailey, so much. It's great to be here and to walk you and everyone else through kind of what I did to build out our brick and mortar business. And I know that Bailey and I were talking about this, but I tried a lot of different things before I ever found ClickFunnels. And I wasted years and a ton of money trying to make something work, but this worked for me. So I hope that you all find value in this as well. I hope that it helps you quickly build your business. It lowers your frustration and it ultimately gets you to that point in your business that you want to be at. So let's go ahead and let's get into this. So again, I'm with the Medicare Coach. So we started the Medicare Coach in 2010. I was not technically there to start it, and I joined it about 3 years ago. So I came in to an existing brick and mortar business to kind of take it to the next level. It was doing all right. It was supporting really just 2 people. But we knew that there was a bigger need for the market. So my goal was to come in and say, how can we have more clients, right? How can we get this 100 clients as quickly as possible? And these are the steps that I end up taking to get us there. So in step 1, again, it's how to get your 100 new clients for your insurance agency or financial service company. So the Medicare Coach isn't really either of them, but we're also kind of both of them. So we are a fee for service. We're a consultant helping people through a complex situation. But it's enough like insurance and it's enough like financial services that I'm confident that you can use it as well if you're in one of those industries. So let's get into this. So I broke it into 2 phases. And I broke it into 2 phases because I think there's a different mindset that goes with the 2 different phases. And there's really 2 different purposes, 2 different goals in them. And phase 1 is all about building that foundation, building those key fundamental parts of your business that you can then take it, whether it's online across the country, or maybe it's even just in your current town or city or zip code or state or whatever it may be, but to reach people who you don't currently know. I mean, our brick and mortar business was created primarily through word of mouth for the first 7 years. And then when I came in, it was the whole new ball game because of what Russell taught me. So phase 1 is building that foundation that you can then go and really grow your business to get those 100 clients. And those include 4 main steps we'll talk about here in just a second. And then phase 2 is, right, you've built your boat. Like, let's go to sea, right? Like, you've built the foundation. Let's go get you those 100 clients to really make it work and have you reach your revenue goals and the other goals. So those are kind of the 2 phases. So I'll kind of change intentions during the phases. So I want to just be clear again as to how I set those up. Okay. Step 1, get clear on who you want to serve. So I had a business before the Medicare Coach, and we were doing financial planning, and we literally thought that like anyone who was married and with a checkbook could be a client. And that was a huge mistake. It did not convert. So step 1 is get really clear on who you want to serve. So for the Medicare Coach, I came into the existing business and I said, okay, who are the people who have really enjoyed the Medicare Coach services, right? How old are they? What are their values? Why did they come here? And what did we ultimately provide to them that made them happy clients? And for those people who are also doing referrals for us, right? Why are they referring us to their friends? So This step should only take a day or two. It can take longer. I mean, in some ways, I still do this now in my current business, but get really clear on who you want to serve because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. So for me, I took 20 of our current clients and I had a phone call with them and I asked them again, why did you come to the Medicare coach, right? Why couldn't you figure out Medicare on your own? Why didn't you want to go to that local insurance person to sell you that plan, right? Why didn't you go to the free resources of Social Security office, right? Why did you come to us? So I really want to understand why they came to us and the transformation that we created as part of our service. And it's amazing because I thought that I knew what they would say. I thought it would be something like, oh, you're independent, you're this, you're that. And what it really was is, yes, we're independent, but we truly gave them the peace of mind that they wanted because we were independent. So understand, why do your clients come to you, right? Do they come to you because they like talking about their kids with you, or they golf with you? Like, what is the reason why they come to you? And get really clear on what that is, and make sure that you take really good notes, because this will be fueling all of your marketing going forward. Again, the better that you do your research on the front end, the easier your life will be on the back end. I will also say this: make sure that you are writing down their exact same words. So I had a client named Janice who, and I was like, Janice, why did you come to us? She goes, well, you guys gave me the peace of mind that I was doing the right thing, something of that nature. But when you talk to my colleagues, they took what she said and they turned it into their words. And if you want to find another Janice, you need to use those exact words that they currently use. This is not rocket science. Let's not kid anyone. But it's the simple things that really matter. It's connecting with those people by using those same words. All right. And again, once you have all of your interviews done, all your research, try to find trends. Yes, with the 20 clients that I spoke with, there were some different reasons as to why they came to us. Some people had serious health issues and they were worried about that. Some people were just kind of nervous people and they wanted to have us help them. Other people just said, I don't have the time to deal with it. You take it. Okay. So I had some different trends throughout the interviews that I did, but after going through the information, I was able to get really clear on that one client that I wanted to replicate 100 times. So take this first step very seriously. Take good notes because it will fuel the rest of your steps. Okay, now that you have, you're clear on who you want to serve, you're clear on that, what pain point they have now, where they want to go, all of those good things, you can then go on to step 2. And step 2 is about building the relationship through publishing. Now, some of you might say, especially in the insurance or investment space, right, financial advisor space, you might say, well, I have too many compliance issues. And I understand that. There are some compliance issues with certain industries, but you can still do things that can meet compliance rules, okay? So don't let that get in the way of saying, well, I can't publish because of my compliance rules. That's not a fair statement in my opinion. Okay, so you need to decide where you want to publish, okay? So for me, my people are on Facebook. Yes, I had an email list of current clients, and if I wanted to go outside of that realm, I had to find a new platform to figure out where they're at. And my people are on Facebook. They're on Facebook, right? My client is 64-year-olds and over. They usually have more money than time, and they would rather just pay to have this problem solved, and they don't want to fully trust the insurance companies who are advertising to them. So that's my client. They're on Facebook. They're checking their grandkids' pictures. They're doing all that stuff. So yours could be Facebook, yours could be email, yours could be, Larry loved the local radio station. It can be various things that you can use to publish your information on. So again, I picked Facebook. I also decided that I prefer to do videos. Yes, I can write, but it's more work for me than just talking out loud. And I found that having a face-to-face, or at least a face interaction for them, helped create a better relationship. So I started going off and I did 90 videos in 90 days. So I launched a huge video campaign about all these different topics, but choose which platform you want to talk on and have that be yours. Now, at first I was thinking to myself, oh, well, all of my clients go to a certain doctor's office in certain areas. And maybe I should just go to the doctor's office and have them publish for me. But then I realized, and while they were open to it, what I realized is that I was going to have to go through them. They were the gatekeeper for me to communicate with my ideal clients. And I didn't want to have that gatekeeper between me and them. So as you think about where you want to publish, think about how can you have the most control over your message while still reaching the people that you want to reach, okay? Also then decide what you're going to publish. So I could technically go on there and talk about my new dog, but if I want people to come to me to help them with Medicare, probably talking about my dog as the main topic would not convert that many clients. So what I did was I created 3 different topics that I would cover in my posts. The first one was answering their questions, right? And I knew their questions because I'd interviewed them. I'd interviewed my 20 clients. I knew what questions that they had. And I've also gone out to different places to see what are people asking about when it comes to Medicare, right? What are the top Google topics when it comes to Medicare? So the first group was really answering their questions, proving that I knew what I was talking about and adding just so much value to them, right? Making their life easy and simple. The second group that I talked about was me, right? A lot of people look at me and they say, you're a 35-year-old person. Why would I ever trust you with Medicare? And so I had to come up with my story, right? And a lot of Russell's books helped me come up with my story to explain to people who I was, why they should trust me, and why I was here. I talked a lot about, again, me. I talked a lot about my parents' friends, my friends' parents, all of those things that I could come up with stories to make me not just a Medicare person, but a relatable individual. And I was a bit shocked that while, yes, the value posts to answer their questions were a good building block for me, people really resonated with me once I told my story. So don't poo-poo that part. It's very important as well. Also, the third group was stories to address their objections. So I would hear reasons as to why people wouldn't join our program. So things like, I can get it for free, or I can do this. And I knew the story that was in their head. But I was able to, again, use all of Russell's books, .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, to kind of come up with how do I create stories to bring people in and try to hit down those dominoes before it ever became too big. And so those are kind of the 3 ways that I ended up publishing to build up our audience, right? To find those people out there who could possibly be potential clients. I will say, too, that while it's important to publish, it's also really important to observe who is engaging in your posts and who is not. So I would always try to do Facebook Lives or just regular posts or whatever it may be. And I would always ask them, like, hey, what are your questions? I want to know what you're thinking about. So by having people, by watching people interact with your content, you know what's resonating with you and you know what's not. Now, I want to back up for just 1 second. For me, again, I use Facebook as a platform. Now, if you just go out and you create a business Facebook page and you start publishing, there's a good chance that no one will hear you because no one even knows that you exist. So in order to maximize the value of the content that you're publishing, I ended up inviting my current clients, my friends, my family members, things like that, onto my business page. And so that way I had somewhat of a base audience to start with. Sometimes that social proof of even having a couple followers on your page can help share that word. And there are things that I'll do later on to help. I'll use Facebook ads to kind of help get some of that content out there a little bit further and to kind of test my messaging. But if it's Facebook for you, that's what I would do, right? Create your Facebook page, invite your current clients, your friends, your family, ask them to share it, and then start publishing. And then based on that, you can build it out from there. Now, some people choose to do an email. An email works completely fine as well. I just don't like to write email as much. It also can be harder to get email addresses to add to your list to expand your network. But maybe you already have a massive email list who aren't clients, right? I don't know what your situation is, but for me, I use Facebook and it's worked really well. Okay. I will say too that especially in the insurance and financial advising space, a lot of people have used LinkedIn from a little bit of a different perspective than Facebook, but LinkedIn can be a source and it's easy for you to find people on there. Okay, so now that you've published, right, you've put your information out there, you've told your story, you're bringing people in. Step 3 is, what do you want to sell them, right? And this can be happening while you're publishing, right? But I do believe that you should start with the end in mind, right? Where are you leading these people, right? If I'm going to talk about Medicare, I know that I am sending them to a done-for-you service that they're going to sign up for, right? If you are selling, I don't know, car insurance, let's say, like, where are you taking them, right? What are the questions and what are you going to ultimately sell them? So I always say, at least in the beginning, have an idea of where you're taking them, right? Are you just selling them products to make commissions? Are you going to sell them a service as a consulting fee? Things like that. Where are you taking them? And what's the name of it? So when I joined the Medicare Coach, and I think many brick and mortar companies are like this, there wasn't really a name to it, right? People came to the Medicare Coach because their friends came to the Medicare Coach and it worked for them, so it's going to work for me. But I realized that when I went outside of that initial network, I needed a name. I needed a name for our service to easily and quickly tell people what we did and the service that we are going to provide them. So for us, we call it the Medicare Enrollment Concierge. It really kind of encompassed what we were doing for our clients to help them understand quickly and easily what we did and what the problem we were going to solve. Also, have an idea of what you want to charge people for this. Again, initially, we had a lower cost ticket on our traditional brick and mortar business. We actually ended up increasing the cost because I also added extra bonuses, extra free bonuses and extra services to kind of make the whole thing holistic and more smooth. But think to yourself, is this a $20 product or is it $20,000, right? Because depending on that, you'll likely have very different messaging too in your publishing, right? These whole things are really codependent. You're going to take them on the exact same path. And then what are your specific deliverables and bonuses, right? And you're going to know what your deliverables and bonuses are from talking to your clients in step 1, right? And what you've already done. But I was surprised that I found some other real gems by talking to the new people on Facebook as to what other questions that they solved. And I was able to add a bonus that, it skyrocketed our conversion rates. So, take your initial brick and mortar business. However, be open to making tweaks depending on the feedback that you get from certain people. And look, this doesn't have to be final. You'll probably tweak it as you go. But I think it's important to know kind of where you're going and the message that you're trying to convey to the people you're talking to on Facebook or wherever else. That way, again, you can get your 100 clients as quickly as possible. Okay, so we've determined who our dream client is, right? We know who they are, we know who we're targeting, we know their pain points, where they're going to go. And step 2, we started publishing, so people are trying to know about us. Hopefully they're sharing comments. Hopefully they are they're sharing posts, making comments, just engaging with your page. And now the question is, who can I serve? So likely in step 2, right, you know what you're going to sell them in the end, or we're going to attempt to sell them in the end, right? Because this is what they want. And step 2, you're going to build that relationship. Okay, so I was doing my free Facebook posts, and at the end of my post, I would do something like, "Hey, if you want to ask me some questions about Medicare, I'd be happy to talk to you." So I would have them, send me an email to schedule a time to meet with them. Now, I did this because, one, in the past, when I first did this the first time, I was sending people out this lead magnet PDF that they said that they wanted, but I wasn't ever really getting two-way communication. So while, yes, I knew their pain point, what they wanted, I wasn't getting them to engage with me. And because they were engaging with me, it was really hard to go out and test new offers on a new audience. Yes, I knew our existing business, our existing clients, but if I wanted to go out to this new audience, I had to talk to them, right? When we started this, I think we had clients in 2 states. Right now we're in 50 states. But the clients in our first 2 states did have some differences from the clients in our other 48 states. Yes, there were similarities, there were also differences. So I wanted to go out and talk to someone who really didn't know me and would give me candid feedback that was saying, "No, Emily, that is a horrible offer. What are you thinking?" Or "That price point is way too far off," or whatever it may be. Okay. So step 4 is let's start talking to potential clients. And this feeds back into step 2, right? So as you're publishing, try to have a communication platform with them. Now, yes, it's a bit dangerous because if you get huge, you won't be able to take all the clients, and you can edit videos at that point in time. But if you're trying to get to 100 clients as quickly as possible, I find extreme value in talking to strangers, but strangers who could be your dream client, right? So I would have clients, again, call me or have calls with me, and I would give them a guarantee. For us, I'd say, I'm going to walk you through what you should be looking at as you approach Medicare. So I'd have them on the phone, and we'd go through what they should be thinking about. Right? I'd ask them what their healthcare situations is. I'd ask them all of these questions that would be important, and I would walk them through what to do next. Now, I didn't solve their ultimate pain point, right? Their ultimate pain point was picking that right plan for them, and I didn't solve that for them. But I did help walk through some of the pre-steps they would need to take in order to get to that decision. And then I'd have that value call with my client or potential client. I'd give them a ton of value. And at the end, I would say, well, look, I also provide a service called the Medicare Enrollment Concierge Service. We walk you through this. We do X, Y, and Z, and here's the cost, right? I gave them the whole more or less sales pitch, right? And about 80% of the people ended up buying that program because they saw that I thought about Medicare, right? I gave really good content for free. I got these people who didn't know and trust me in the door. And then I was able to test an offer on them. Now, yes, that offer did change slightly with each of those people, right? One person was more worried about healthcare. One person lives in Alaska. One person is on a retiree plan. So some of those things would change depending on who they were. But I was still able to test the market. And again, this is huge for me because at first I was doing a completely different process. I was creating all of these videos, sending out a video and hope they would buy. And it was I was talking and I got nothing back. And when you get no feedback back, it's really hard and slow to get those 100 clients in the door. So while most of our clients did end up buying the program, the other people who didn't buy were almost more valuable because they told me where my holes were, right? They would tell me exactly why they weren't going to buy. And because of that, I was able to really hone in on my marketing or my sales message or whatever else it may be to get more clients in there and building that foundation, right? And building that, okay, if I'm going to get 100 clients quickly, what is that going to look like? Now, I recommend that in this step 4, you try to get 5 to 10 paying clients. Again, yes, it might be somewhat customized to begin with because you're trying to test out what works and what doesn't. But it's all about can you get people who do not know you to sign up for your offer? And if you don't have any buyers, then you've missed something, right? You either missed their pain point, you haven't priced it right. It's not even usually price. You haven't shown the transition correctly. You just missed something, right? So if you don't make your 5 or 10 client sales here, go back to step 1, right? Start talking to people about why did they come to you? Why did they trust you? What services they provide you, right? What would they tell their friends about you? Dig into your current clients to understand the value, and then go back and put that feedback back into your publishing, right? Put it back into your offer, and then try to get more clients, right? So keep doing these 4 steps until you get really clear on what that base offer is. This can be really fast for certain people. Some of you will have a really great brick and mortar business already, and it works. But I'll also challenge you to say, okay, if your brick and mortar business works great right now, are there things that you can do to improve that offer? Are there things that you can do to make it an even better program to really help get your clients in the door? Okay? Do not move on from step 4 until you have at least 5 to 10 paying clients in like a beta product, and you have something that you can really take to scale. If you try to go scale, right, you try to go to the next step without getting this right, you will waste a lot of money and a lot of time. So get these steps right and then go from there. Okay, so Now we've had our paying clients and now we're ready to scale, right? So when I first did this, we did have a few customized services out there. But in order for us to grow quickly, we had to make it pretty standardized. We had to standardize it to both communicate it to our clients and also make it bearable for us as a company to service those things, okay? So again, I'm gonna look to see, what did people buy in step 4, right? Was it all the same process, or were there some a la carte things? If there were some a la carte things, can we make those into bonuses? And many times you can make them into bonuses, right? That I talked earlier about on that free call, I walk people through the steps to take as they join Medicare for their situation. That's now a bonus called the Medicare timeline, I think, right? So I took those things and I was able to add more value into our standardized package to attract more people and to also show that there's more value in it. Yes, you might make some adjustments like we made, but again, this should be fun, right? You've had your paying clients. How do you want to go out and serve even more people? Okay, so this should be pretty straightforward and easy because you've already done it really in step 4. Okay, step 6, build your funnel. So before I came to ClickFunnels, I was using a couple different platforms, and it seemed like I spent more time trying to figure out the system and set up things than I did actually making money. So to me, using ClickFunnels is going to make your life easier. It provides so much transparency into the statistics, and it's just going to make your life simple, right? It's going to make that 100 clients much easier. So build your funnel. So for us, again, I think the first 4 steps can all be done on email, right? Email and your publishing platform, which for us were Facebook. But when you want to scale, when you want to get big, you need a good platform. And again, ClickFunnels means the best. So when I came to ClickFunnels, I said, okay, what type of funnel do I want to build for my service? Now, my service is about $500. So I decided that a webinar funnel made the most sense for me. So I went into ClickFunnels, and they already had built out templates that I could just, use and make changes to make it mine, but they've already built out the steps and everything else, so you're not reinventing the wheel. So I was able to go get my funnel, right, fill it in. I put my webinar registration page on there. I then had a thank you page on there. I had a long form sales page in there. I had a sales page in there, and then I had a thank you page. So what is that? 5 pages total for my funnel. But again, just pick which one you want to use. I swear by the webinar funnel because, again, for me, it provided me instant feedback. So I was and still do my webinars 2 times a week live. And by doing it live, I was able to create that 2-way communication to get feedback instantly from people. A payment plan option came out of one of my live webinars, and that's increased our conversions as well, right? There's really easy things to do to get those client sales more quickly. And again, to me, to do that, it's all about getting feedback. So webinar funnels work best for me. When I first started, I was doing a quiz funnel. And I think that while quiz funnels are really sexy, and they do work really well for a lot of people, for me, when I was doing a quiz funnel, I gave them a ton of value, but I was never able to really bring them back to being a paying client. So again, to me, a webinar, it checks the box and not only get your message out, but to really see who is a true paying client and who may not be. So yeah, build your funnel. There's so much training on ClickFunnels that will walk you through it, but it's pretty simple, right? Use Russell's strategy to kind of funnel hack others in different industries to get ideas for yourself. Use their platform and put it into place. So yeah, that's kind of the infrastructure. Oh, and one more thing on the funnels. Again, figure out what your main funnel is. You're probably going to be tweaking things as you go. So when I started, I had my webinar landing page. I was doing A and B testing for quite a while. We found the one that converted the best for us. I will also say that if you're doing a webinar funnel, initially we were going to do, we knew we were going to do 2 live webinars a day. So I said, oh, this is great. I'm going to give people the option on my landing page to have 2 different times to pick from. But what I found is that by having one time on the landing page versus 2 times landing page, having only one option had a higher conversion rate. And at the end of the day, I at least want their email address to keep communicating with them, right? So I found that having only one option for times for me worked best on my landing page for my webinar. But then I did an exit pop. So if you did an exit pop, so if some people will come and say, and they'll say, well, that time doesn't work. Well, guess what? By doing an exit pop, I say, hey, does this time not work? Like, no problem. Like, put your email in here below and get an instant access to the replay, or something of that nature. So there are things that ClickFunnels has built out to be able to easily put in those types of things to increase your conversion rates. So a bit of a tangent there, but beware of that. Okay. So you've built your funnel, you have your infrastructure here in place. You have your webinar registration page. You have your thank you page. You have your sales pages. You have email sequences inside of ClickFunnels. You can do, we have a 3-day indoctrination sequence before the webinar. We have email reminders in there. We have a follow-up funnel from after they have the webinar. So they'll get the replay the next day. The day after that, they get any testimonials. And then they get like, a final notice to get your program. And ClickFunnels will do all that automation for you. It will also show you really good stats as to where your revenue is coming from and what email is driving what revenue. So having that transparency to me was really important, because I'd go and say, well, this email is doing, like our replay email does really well in terms of conversion to sales. And so by going in there and like seeing how well one thing's doing than another, you're able to really hone in on what part of your funnel you should be improving, which one's good enough to leave alone, and things like that. I feel like the reality is, when business in general, right, there's always something that you can be tweaking with. But the ClickFunnels stats allows me to hone in on exactly where I should be spending my time and where I shouldn't. And the other platforms just didn't allow me to do that. Okay, enough about ClickFunnels. Okay, so now we're getting people off of Facebook. I should say that too. I'm sending people. When I started out, I was sending some traffic from Facebook to my webinar registration page. And there's classes on Facebook. I uploaded a list of our client list into Facebook, and they're doing lookalike audiences. So there are different things that you can do to leverage Facebook, but try to get as many people as possible on your webinar. The standard, or the goal for show up rates, is 20%. And ideally, you would have 20 people on the webinar at a minimum to start. So you need at least 100 people to register. So as you are building your funnel and sending traffic there to join your webinar, be writing and practicing your webinar, right? So .com secrets spells the whole thing out for you. There's also other things that you can use to use Russell's perfect webinar, but it works, so stick with it. And use this webinar for your sales, right? So it's going to be the big domino, it's going to be the 3 secrets, it's going to be the sales stack, it's going to be all of those things. And all of that is going to come from the research that you did primarily in steps 1 through 4, right? You're going to know their pain points from step 1. You're going to know the transformation from step 4. You're going to know all of these things from earlier. So if you take really good notes early on, this webinar will be really easy to put together. So put together the script, put together the webinar script. Ideally, you will have a script completely written out. Now, some people will just wing it, and it's not the end of the world. Ideally, you'd have it written out and then tweak from there, but have a structure to follow. Now, I will also say this. Some people will say, well, at least in the insurance and financial advising space will say, well, Emily, I can't do a webinar. And I get it. You can't do a webinar, right? There's compliance issues there that can make a webinar be challenging. But the building blocks inside of a perfect webinar will work for basically anyone. And I use this structure when I have my one-on-one conversations, right? I talk to people and I say, well, did you know these 3 secrets? Like, here's the value that I can provide to you, right? Here's my stack. Here's what I do. So maybe you can't do a webinar for compliance reasons, but you should still go through the process that Russell has laid out to create your infrastructure, right? You can use this no matter where you go, who you talk to. And so I'm looking at an objection. I think your objection might be, well, I'm not going to do a webinar because I can't do one. Still do this step, right? Still, by going through this process and build the building blocks, you will be able to more quickly get your 100 clients than anything else. So please don't skip this step. And again, like, this transformed our business, right? For the last 7 years, Larry had gone out and found clients through word of mouth or gone onto the local radio station. That's great. right? There's nothing wrong with that. But our goals were bigger than that. And so we had to come up with a different way to grow even bigger. And for us, the perfect webinar put that structure in place to hit those key points, to show people what our value is and to convert them to clients. Okay, step 8. I guess I should have realized this. But anyway, step 8 is get people to join your webinar, right? You have your funnel built out. You have your webinar script built out. You are now going to send people to your funnel. And I just talked about this, but we used ours through Facebook ads. So I use a lookalike audience. I'm sending traffic there. Ideally, you have 20 live people on your workshop. So if you do a 20% show up rate, you need about 100 people registered to show up for your webinar. Okay. Get people there. If there's no one there to test, then it won't work. I would also say don't just have your friends and family join this webinar. You want people who don't know you. Let me rephrase that. If you want to get new clients from a group of people who you do not know, then you want to test out your webinar on those people. I will also say this. It took us a while to find that perfect group in Facebook to bring to our webinar and to convert. Okay, so if you get people on your webinar and it doesn't convert, it can mean a few things. Don't jump to conclusions yet, but get people there so you can have a real test when it comes to your program. And then it's the big day, right? You get to host your webinar. You've done all the work, right? You start off by doing all of your research. You've been publishing. You've created a great relationship with people. You've created your offer. You've tested your offer on people. You've standardized your offer. You've created your funnel. You've created your webinar script. You've brought people to your webinar, and now you host your webinar, right? Again, this is all spelled out in Russell's books, and there's resources all over ClickFunnels to walk you through this. But I recommend that you do a deadline of some type when it comes to your webinar. Just people need deadlines to act. And at first I thought, well, my people are going to freak out if I give them a deadline. But it's a good thing for them and it's a good thing for us, okay? Again, send out an email sequence to both your attendees before the workshop to get them to show up and also after the workshop. If you're not sure what to send in those emails, go look at .com Secrets and Expert Secrets. He walks you through all of it. Also, if people do not buy from your program, ask them why. I have an email, so I have a 3-day open card, and at the last day, or once it's closed, I say, I think it's literally like a 12-sentence email, like, why didn't you buy? I mean, it's longer than that, but basically it's like, what happened? Why didn't you buy? And people will say, it's too expensive, like, I can get it for free or whatever it might be. And so then when people say I got it for free, I said, cool, I clearly missed something. Like, people do not realize that we are different from the free people, right? So it helps you get feedback that you can go back and tweak your webinar script, right? Figure out what you've missed and go from there. I will also tell you this. There will be lots of people giving opinions to you. And yes, you should listen to them, but be careful of listening to people who would never pay you a dime anyway. Right? I have people who will give me feedback and I think to myself, should I listen to this? And most of them, yes. But other people will just say, I want it for free anyway. And those people I probably shouldn't listen to because they're never going to be a potential client. So even in step 4, when you're testing your offer, make sure that you are talking to people who will actually pay you money to ensure that you are listening to a potential buyer. Okay? And then keep doing your webinars, getting feedback, look who's buying, looking who's not buying, tweaking it, and keep doing it. This system has been the key to us growing so fast and quickly. Again, I was doing videos, 3 video series, all these things, which can be great for the right person, but especially as you're trying to grow quickly, this webinar sequence, this webinar process is incredible. So, okay, step 10, you now have your clients, right? You're going to keep doing your webinar until you're 100 clients. You now have them and serve them. Celebrate this. I know it's easy for us to always have more milestones, so celebrate this. I will also say, get testimonials and reviews as much as you possibly can from this process, right? As you're serving these 100 clients or whatever their number ends up being, serve them well, get testimonials. It will only help growing to the next level even easier. And again, if you have compliance issues, many of the compliance people will be okay with you doing case studies, but not testimonials. But serve them, overserve them in terms of like providing extra value, and enjoy it, right? It's just kind of the first gate to the new world. Again, this revolutionized our business. We're now in 50 states and 6 countries. And this webinar thing, it works. This ClickFunnels thing makes it incredibly easy. So if I could do it again, I wish that someone on day one would have just said, Emily, read these books, go to ClickFunnels. It will make your life easier. It would have saved me a ton of time. It would have saved me a ton of money. And I could have served more people even more quickly. So hope that you found this helpful. I know that the insurance and financial advising space can be a bit tricky, but this does work. At least it works for me. And so I hope that you found this incredibly, incredibly valuable.